You can start.
A very good evening to all of you. It's my proud privilege to moderate the first ever webinar of the ASI Jharkhand chapter. And I'm sure that with all of yours active cooperation, we would be having many more in future. Today, we are going to discuss a very pertinent topic, surgeons, COVID and the way forward, where we will be talking about the impact that the COVID pandemic has had on the surgical fraternity and also try to formulate a guidance for the way forward tailor-made for the Jharkhand surgeons. But before we dive into the discussion with the eminent surgeons of Jharkhand, I would ask my respected senior and co-moderator, Dr. Sunil Kumar, to welcome you all and introduce our esteemed panelists. Sir, please.
Sir, unmute. Sunil sir, unmute.
Sorry, good afternoon. I welcome all of you and take this opportunity. I like to take names of each panelist so that the due recognition is given to them. Dr. R.P. Srivastava, a former ASI National President of India, which is a huge recognition he has given to state of Jharkhand. I welcome Dr. R.P. Srivastava, who is logging in some technical issue. I'm sure his vast surgical knowledge, technical knowledge, and administrative capability will go a long way, not only to give input in this seminar or in this symposium or in this discussion, but many more to come. We like to welcome Dr. Jugal Kishore Chaudhary, who's my fellow EC member from ASI Jharkhand, very recognized surgeon, and is involved in lot of social activities in this COVID era. Welcome, Jugal ji. I'll take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Sanjay Kumar, a dear friend who is general manager and boss of Tata Motors Hospital, to this panel. I'm sure his continued input into this academic and activity will go in long way to improve and make our Jharkhand SI activities useful and visible in the national scene. I take this opportunity to welcome our dynamic secretary, Dr. Mohammad Azad. He runs his own nursing home and hospital, very dynamic person from Girirdi. Welcome, Azad. And Dr. Nishit Eka, a very young, upcoming, dynamic surgeon from institution. I see some of his writings, and I do get impressed by his knowledge also. So I welcome Nishit Eka, and I expect he's also our treasurer of ASI Jharkhand chapter, and I expect a lot of your input in our future endeavor. And I will take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Mr. Anand and his colleague Sachin, who has been helping us in all these teething out problems. And I'm sure we are looking up at the long-term cooperation and collaboration. And last but not the least, Dr. Arunima Burma, who has been always in the forefront of any task given to her. Now she herself is in a leadership position, and I expect a lot from you, Arunima, in the near future and far future to come. So I welcome Arunima to this panel and all the attendees who have been there. So I welcome all of you. I hope there will be some value addition. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for introducing the panelists. And with this, let's get started with the panel discussion. COVID-19, as we all know, is not a surgical disease, but we would agree that it has hugely impacted our surgical practice. On a daily basis, there is a lot of influx of I just mentioned that since COVID-19 is not a surgical disease, but it has actually impacted a lot on our surgical practice. And there is on a daily basis, we keep getting new information about its virology, the SARS-CoV-2 and the disease itself, I would ask Dr. Jugal Kishore to briefly tell us about the relevant COVID-19 facts. Jugal sir,
Yes.
over to you.
Mm.
Welcome, RP sir. We had been waiting. We had your introduction by Dr.
Hello.
Sunil. Yeah.
Can you hear? Can you hear?
Yes, we
Even
can
I
hear
heard
you.
the Jugal. Before you start, my greetings to
Yeah.
everyone who is on the webinar or on the meeting, and it's a great opportunity to have some dynamism from the youngers, led by Sunil, Arunima, Jugal, Nisit, Ajad, and nonetheless than the general manager of Telco, who promises someday he will bring a truck to the ASI Jharkhand. So truckload of greetings to all of them, and Sanjay will see that Jharkhand ASI will own a truck of its own. So with this, please continue, Jugal. I am with you. On and off, probably I and Sunil will take the round because only 6 of us can be visualized by each other. I don't know others are seeing us or not. So
Yeah,
it's
so
up to Arunima or Anand. I don't know really. On the background of me, you can see a logo hanging by my curtain, which was presented to me when I was president 2009 in Coimbatore, and I thought this is the fitting one which should be on my background. So please continue, Jugal.
yes, sir. Jugal sir, can you please tell us something about the relevant COVID-19 facts? Sir,
Jugal, you
unmute
have to
कर
unmute.
दीजिए please.
अनम्यूट
जुगल सर
करेंगे जहाँ पे
unmute.
हाँ, जहाँ
Now
पे बना
speak,
हुआ
sir.
है वहाँ अनम्यूट करें. हम्म.
So now you
Anand,
speak.
is it okay
Speak.
now?
Yeah,
Me?
yeah, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
so
okay, sir. One second.
why let Jugal
Jugal sir, you have to
let
unmute it.
जुगल जहाँ माइक बना हुआ है वहां पे अनम्यूट करो. जहाँ ग्रीन माइक रेड हो गया होगा एरो के ठीक नीचे. अभी जो निशित हमको दे रहे थे क्लियर कट गाइडलाइन उसी तरह है. एरो के ठीक
हाँ.
नीचे एक माइक बना
Jugal
हुआ
sir,
है.
you can speak now. He is on unmute.
Yes, yes, sir. COVID-19 is name given by WHO, caused by a SARS virus, coronavirus. COVID-19 is a disease characterized by many signs and symptoms, but corona positive is not a COVID-19. COVID-19 is a disease. Corona positive maybe suffer by some people. They are spreading coronavirus. They act as carrier, which is more dangerous.
सुनील को बुलाओ.
Salient features of coronavirus disease is may at first may be severe dry cough, fever, shortness of breath, and in some cases there is loss of taste, loss of smell. In some people also found presented with diarrhea. In severe cases, there may be severe pneumonia, sepsis, and septic shock, and patient can die due to multiple organ failure. There is no treatment. So precaution, there is many guidelines given by the government that social distancing, when not social, actually it will be physical distancing is must. Washing with soap and wearing mask. Why soap kills the virus? Because it is a RNA virus. It's wall made up of lipoprotein. In soap, a chemical called sodium stearate present in soap. It dissolves the wall of the RNA virus. Its incubation periods is 2 to 3 days up to 14 days. Anything more? But in
That was really useful. Jugal sir. And just to sum up the information that you have given, I am just going to show a slide where there are a few COVID-19 facts. Can you all see the slide? Hello? Can you see
COVID-19
the slide?
facts.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
So
sir.
the so as I said, it is not a surgical disease, but it has an impact on our surgical practice, and we are having constant influx of information, many of which the relevant facts was pointed out by Dr. Jugal. And as surgeons, what we need to know is the places where it is found. It is found in nasopharynx, upper and lower respiratory tract, GIT from mouth to rectum. It is also found in body fluids like in nasal swabs, saliva, throat swabs, blood, bile, and feces. And till date, it has not been found in urine and CSF. Now, this is very important because as surgeons, we are dealing with all of these body fluids. And there are multiple modes of transmissions that have been claimed, but aerosol is the most important. And all our the precautions that we are being propagated is based on this, the aerosol being the most important. And as I mentioned that it is found in body fluids, blood as well of infected patients. So it does bring to our mind the question whether blood donation can still be done. Till date, there is no guideline to test for COVID-19 before blood donation. And if you go on the Indian government website, you will find the guidelines for blood donation, and it says that it can still be done taking the physical distancing and other precautions that have been mentioned by Dr. Jugal. So these are the facts that as surgeons we should be aware of. And I think this is the government policy, and as we come across more facts, we would be having clarity on all this. But as of now, we can have blood donation because we would be needing blood in various circumstances in our surgical practice. So this is the guidance from the government. And when we talk about the government, Jharkhand has been a green zone and in the beginning, but now has become a orange zone with pockets of containment areas. And none other than Dr. R.P. Srivastava sir would be the right person to update us on the Jharkhand COVID scenario. So would you like to highlight on the Jharkhand COVID scenario, sir?
Of course, the knowledge what I have, I will share with you overall, and I will request Nisit also to put inputs in that. We have two COVID hospitals, in one in Ranchi, the premier institution of the state, and another one in Bokaro, the Bokaro General Hospital. I'm not aware of the latest scenario in Jamshedpur, which you people can say. And every district magistrate is doing fantastic job by taking charge of seeing that the people are tested to the capacity every district has. And we started with one lab, but when then we found out to have 4 labs by now, and we are testing everything in 4 labs. The latest scenario in Jharkhand is that we have at all the districts, we have started testing the antibody, and which gives you the Pune laboratory issue. The Pune laboratory, what it, am I audible? I'm
Yes.
frozen on the video. I'm frozen on the video,
Yes, sir.
but I think I'm audible.
So you're audible.
Okay. So the latest scenario is that every district is testing the what it had the testing facility for the tuberculosis, and that is giving you a lead into the testing for within an hour. So if this facility can be extended to every, it is already there in place in every Sadar hospital in every district headquarter. But if it can be provided, later on we'll come back how it can help the surgeons and the surgical practice for routine cases. But right now, this is the scenario, and load on the institutions are really too much. But still, kudos to the team and kudos to the leadership. Things are within our own limited resources. We are not bad. I will say we are not bad. Few containment areas were there, but Ranchi, the Itki Sanatorium, here the Dhanbad lab, and well supported by these two COVID hospitals, we have been able to make our own mark in our limited resources.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, sir. And as you mentioned that we are not bad, We actually are not. And today's the figures for confirmed cases are 511 in Jharkhand, of which 290 are active cases, 216 have been cured and discharged, and we have had 5 deaths. So if we compare to the rest part of India, definitely we are not bad. And if we look at why we need to look at all these figures, is that we need to know when we have to start our elective surgeries, because the guidance that has come from government, the last guidance was on the 20th of March, and it said that non-essential elective surgeries to be postponed. And you already mentioned about the COVID testing in Jharkhand and other parts. And on 18th May, again, the COVID testing for patients guideline from the government has come. And what I mentioned even in the blood donation thing was that we do not have a COVID testing as such for elective cases. So this is a area where most of the surgeons would be a little content once they have done this testing. But the guidelines at the moment says only the symptomatic patients are to be tested at the moment. And as surgeons and as
So,
healthcare workers, yeah, yes, sir.
ah, so you have raised the right point. I thought this point should be brought a little later, but then since it has come, we can elaborate on this. That
Yeah.
this TrueNet testing, which I was telling that it is now available in every district headquarter, and the routine surgery. Yes, let us all be aware that the routine surgery was postponed by the our Prime Minister's announcement only at the behest of the leadership of ASI, bringing it to the notice of the Honorable Prime Minister that the routine surgery should be stopped and it should all the resources should be utilized for COVID. And he announced it very genuinely. So credit goes to ASI leadership for this. And ASI should feel very high and collar high that yes, we brought this into the notice of the authority. And genuinely so, everywhere, all over the world, the routine surgeries are stopped. And one who has indulged in routine surgery, we have known many facts
Yeah.
and sad facts about our colleagues whom we lost for doing routine surgery, maybe, or for not, maybe the fate, they met their fate. They took all the precautions, but they met their fate. But now, since the routine surgery, now things are getting eased out. We are now being told to live with corona, so routine surgery also have to be started. And in that context, I said that we are also discussing with the governance in Jharkhand that TrueNet facility, TrueNet testing facility in the district headquarters should be extended to even the routine surgical patients, so that if it is negative, we can straightway take the patient with reasonable precaution to our theater and operate on them for their recovery. But if it is positive, it has to be further augmented to be tested RT-PCR and then confirmed or negated on that testing, and then the patient can come to the table. Having said that, I probably we are going to come to the emergency surgery a little later,
Yeah.
Arunima.
Yeah. Yes,
So
sir. We would talk about
yeah,
them.
we will talk about emergency surgery a little later. So this is the
Yeah, and
scenario of routine
yeah,
surgery.
yes, so that is the scenario for routine surgery. And here, one more thing that is important is the hydroxychloroquine prophylaxis, which initially started because there were patients who were cured in Jaipur, and then this came into presence, and even Trump raised a lot of question about India supplying hydroxychloroquine. The latest guideline on 22nd May does support healthcare workers to take hydroxychloroquine prophylaxis. And from this platform, I think all of us should give that message that this should be taken, because it has been in studies that when hydroxychloroquine prophylaxis is taken, the even if you contract the disease, the severity is less. So, would Sanjay sir, would you like to add something to this?
We, as a hospital in Jamshedpur, we have given all our health workers, right from all the doctors to the nursing team, to the paramedics, technicians, to the sweeper, this hydroxychloroquine on the basis of ICMR recommendation. Yes, the only thing which needs to be assessed is, we had got certain fatalities, especially in cardiac cases, where there were contraindications. So we have to be judicious, and especially there is no contraindications. This hydroxychloroquine we have given without any problem with any of our staff in our hospital.
Correct. So tomorrow, the webinar today is very well timed because tomorrow is the last day of the fourth phase of the lockdown, and we have all gone through these 4 phases of lockdown. And as we come towards the end of it, we are going to be faced with multiple challenges as surgeons. They will be both personal and professional. And here I would ask Dr. Azad, who is a renowned private practitioner and who represents a very large sector of the Jharkhand surgeons, what are the challenges that you are anticipating for the surgeons of Jharkhand?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, this COVID-19 has posed a lot of challenges to the practicing surgeons of Jharkhand and India and all over the world. First and foremost is the safety of the surgeon. First challenge is related to the safety of the surgeon and his team members. One has to ensure the safety first, although it is very difficult to ensure 100% safety, but I am proud to say that our ASI headquarters has formulated a consensus guideline, which, if followed properly, we can ensure the safety of the surgeons. Second challenge is the safety of the related to the safety of the patients. Again, ASI headquarters has formulated a very good guideline to be followed by every member of ASI or all practicing surgeons. The third challenge we are facing here is the diagnosis of this disease. As our former president, Dr. Srivastava, has said, that this facility, testing facility is there in every district headquarters, but it is not like that. We have at Giridih only collection, swab collection, and this swab is being sent to Dhanbad where it is being tested. So if the diagnosis facility is done at every district headquarters or subdivisional headquarters, then it would be nice. We can diagnose the patient and then we can operate on it. Fourth challenge is related to logistics. In the early stage, we saw that we did not have enough PPE kits and sanitizers. It was out of market at initial stage. Now we are having in enough quantity, but the quality is still not up to mark. So far as PPE is concerned, we have to have it of 110 GSM. The thickness has to be 110 GSM. And in the market, it is 40, 50, 60, 70 GSM PPEs, which are nothing, which are useless. But now condition has improved. We are having PPE kits. Fifth challenge is related to our staff. A lot of staff, since the advent of this corona, a lot of staff of small and medium-sized hospitals have left and they have not returned. So the strength of our staff, active staff, has diminished very much. This is a challenging part. And last challenge, that this due to this logistic and extra cost, the cost of every operation has increased to 20 to 30%. This has to be borne by the patient and the hospital. So these are the challenges we have to face.
Very pertinent ground realities. very pertinent ground realities have been brought out by you, Dr. Azad. And I think you're very right in talking about the shortage of PPEs and now availability of PPEs, quality of PPEs. But I think the lockdown period has given us that advantage, that because of this lockdown period, we have had the time to, have more PPEs available. So there would be certain points which we could further discuss as far as challenges for surgeons are concerned, besides what Dr. Azad said, and he has brought out those very pertinent things like shortage of staff and all, which always impacts the surgical practice. As we move ahead towards the surgical practice of elective surgeries and all, the surgical workflow management would be managing four aspects, that is the OPD, inpatients, operations, and the follow-up care. Here, I would like to bring about the concept of telemedicine and telehealth, and there is guidance in the Ministry of Health from Government of India that these are recognized methods. And what we usually have been doing with WhatsApp and calls from patients is free consultation for them at times when they have needed. But OPD and follow-up care can actually be a charged way with telemedicine and telehealth, with patients not actually coming in every time unless it is really needed. PPEs, I think we have already heard Dr. Azad and most of the relevant points he has brought out. Creating an optimal OT environment is another challenge where it demands certain changes in our OT environment. And this is something which we would discuss in the next few minutes. And here, what we need is consent forms for COVID. This also is a very important aspect because we are all medico legally bound, and we definitely have heard about cases where people have complained about healthcare workers being COVID positive and treating them. So this is again a very important thing that we need to look up. And institutional and private setup, surgical practices would differ a little, but at the end of the day, all surgeons have to follow the similar guidelines. So what is needed now is restructuring our current surgical ecosystem, and to have an idea that what are we expecting in terms of infection. This is what has been published, that the estimated risk is 0.45% if you have been in close contact with a positive COVID positive individual in the hospital. So for surgeons, I am sure it increases because we are in very close contact dealing with all kinds of aerosols, body fluids and all. So it would definitely be higher for surgeons because surgeons' perspective has not been published separately. And as RP sir had mentioned that we should go as far as ASI had given guidelines based on which our Honorable Prime Minister asked us to hold with the elective surgeries. Even now when we are going to come down to the phase 4 of lockdown, our case conduct should be determined on the basis of contemporary knowledge of evolving national, regional and local conditions. We would need to triage our non-emergency surgical procedures, and if when we talk about non-emergency, the emergencies are usually the trauma and oncological surgery. And we also would need to talk about the OT etiquette strengthening and restructuring. So here I would ask Dr. Sanjay Kumar about the triaging of surgical cases. So how would you suggest us to triage the surgical cases?
Yeah, thank you, Arunima. But before I answer your question about triage, RP sir asked about the facility in Jamshedpur. So, sir, in Jamshedpur, we have got a COVID facility of 500 beds, which is with the Tata Steel, Tata Main Hospital. And we in Tata Motors Hospital, it's a big facility with 70-bedded ICU.
Yes.
So they have.
Yes.
And we in Tata Motors Hospital. Yeah.
Good.
It's a big. And in our, we have extended a 30-bedded facility with 10-bedded ICU for this COVID. Now, regarding this triage, yes, it is uncertain time, uncertain period, and so much information and knowledge is still evolving. Still, we are having guidelines. We have got information which is dynamic, which is changing day to day. But if we look in Jharkhand scenario, because of the movements, what we are witnessing, there is a good number of people coming from all across the red zones. And especially in Jamshedpur, what we have witnessed in last 3 or 4 days, the number of cases has gone quite high. It was almost a green zone for almost 2 months, and then suddenly there is increase in numbers of COVID positive cases, and so is in Ranchi and Dhanbad. And also, what we have witnessed that majority of these cases are asymptomatic. They do not have any symptoms. They are just carrier, and because they have come with a history of travel, and when we are doing the test, we are coming that finding that they are coming out to be positive. So then, no, the importance of triage comes like if in a surgical scenario with the when you have to look for your infrastructure, the safety of your doctors, with your health workers, with the number of operation theater, as Arindama mentioned, about the good practices in this COVID scenario as per various guidelines. You have to categorize your surgical cases. So the recommendation for this triage is to categorize the cases whom you have to intervene on a priority basis despite the crisis. So as already mentioned by Arundima, that the trauma cases or those with surgical emergencies, you have to categorize as emergency cases, and then you have got cases who are urgent or semi emergency, and then elective, what already was mentioned by R.P. Srivastava sir. Another part of this emergency surgery whom you select, because the indications after this COVID scenario has changed. The indication for surgery, what it was maybe 3 months before, it is not like that. So once you have got this triage, it gives the institution or the organization to prioritize your cases and select as per the facilities available in your institution. Like we and Arundama, we work together, so we prioritize our cases. That this will be the cases, and with all the precautions, we can address those emergency cases. So once you have that clarity in your mind, it becomes much easier for use your resources to the best of the advantage, and also taking the safety of your health workers. This is my nutshell about triage.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for that. And before we move on to our discussion, we have a question from our audience. Dr. Ajay Pandu, who has raised a question that is wearing PPE protective in this scenario. So I would ask Dr. Nishit, because he is working in a COVID hospital, to take this question. Nishit, what is your take on this? That how much do you think is protection offered by the PPE that we wear? Nishit, unmute yourself, please. We can't hear you. Can you just unmute yourself and answer the question? Anand, can you just check his audio? Because we can't hear Nishit. And in the meanwhile, RP sir, are you there? Sunil sir, would you like to take this question? Yeah,
Can
RP
you
sir,
hear
are you there? Yeah. So we
I'm
had
there.
a
Just a minute.
question.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, yes, sir. Please do.
I'm very happy to announce that we have our national former ASI president with us, but in attendee, I have a president-elect Dr. Aved Dalvi who has logged in. So take this opportunity to welcome from Jharkhand ASI. If Dr. Aved Dalvi is listening to us, welcome, sir, and thank you very much for logging in. It is very motivating for the Jharkhand ASI. Back to you, Arunima.
Yeah, we got a thank you message from Dr. Abhay Dalvi. Thank you, sir, for logging in, and we would take your comments when you post it over here. We would just share it with the rest of the audience. And Nishit, are you ready to answer the question? Because we are not able to hear you. Nishit, there's a problem with your mic, I think. We are not able
And
to
what
hear
did you
you.
raise? Arunima, what did you raise
Yes,
the
sir.
question
So,
to him?
so the question was from one of our audience, sir. Dr. Ajay Pannu has put the question that is PPE protective in OT?
Yes, the quality of PPE which Dr. Azad mentioned, it is playing in somebody else's hands. And the quality of PPE and the matching cost is a big and huge issue. So, is PPE is protective? The answer is to be guessed by anyone. But having said that, PPEs are recommended, PPEs are being in use from different makers with different qualities. At this point, if I start narrating the quality of PPEs, probably the show will end and still then we will be discussing the PPEs. So, but the only shelter for us is to, in emergency situation of a non-COVID status patient, and in a situation of an emergency in a COVID, full-blown COVID patient, tested COVID positive, PPE have to be owned by all the staff. And I always say, probably in our narration, let us change our attitude that whether surgeon will be protected only or whole staff, even the minionmost staff in the operation theater has to be protected, because the aerosol out of the surgical exercise generation has, it doesn't divide into a surgeon or a non-surgeon. So every staff has to wear a PPE in the situation of a non-COVID tested emergency or a COVID tested emergency. So whatever quality of PPE somebody is getting from anywhere, any resource out of their own cost, I'm not talking of private practitioners, I'm talking of our brothers and sisters in the institutions where they have to work. The private practitioners have taken a back seat and we are holding ourselves quiet. But the PPEs have to be owned by everyone, and reasonably good quality of PPE. The latest in the market, which I heard, is made by Raymond, and I believe that the Raymond will be coming out with it. They will not like to spoil their reputation, so they must be testing everything to the adhering everything to the standard. And anyone else which is producing a PPE, any one of the panelists or any one of the people friends who have joined, they can also put in their comment if they know anyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking that question. And we also have further questions in the audience. But before that, Nishit, have you been able to sort out your mic? Nishit, we can't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the lighter side.
Nishit,
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Nasit,
Hello.
okay.
Yes. Yes.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
You can hear me, ma'am, now?
yeah,
You can
Nishit,
hear
we
me
can
now?
hear you.
Loud and clear.
So we
Okay.
would
Okay.
give you the next question that since you yourself are a young enthusiastic surgeon, you would be the best person to discuss about the OT etiquette, keeping in mind that this is going to have a huge demand on the young surgeons training. So
Uh,
would you like to tell us something about the OT etiquette changes that would be required in the COVID era?
yes, ma'am. Sure. First of all, I will just go back and say that if we are going to start our routine surgeries, I think we will have to test all the patients. We can't just go with a suspected patient on a routine surgery. For emergency surgeries, naturally we can go because they can't wait. Perforations can't wait. Obstructions can't wait. Trauma can't wait. Malignancy also can't wait. But ma'am, for these, and just like Dr. Aspesh Srivastav has said, that there is a test called TrueNAT test that can give report within hours. So that test can be installed in every district, and then we can go
Sorry
for
to
the.
just get you there, Nishit. TrueNAT test it is available, but what is the scenario as far as RIMS is concerned? Are you doing that test there?
Ma'am, we don't have a TrueNAT machine. TrueNAT
Mhm.
is available in Ranchi, in Sadar Hospital, and few other places, and they are doing it. It is just like they say, if it is
I will
negative, it is negative. They just test for some
I will
genes.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Give
I
me a
think
chance to
Sanjay sir
elaborate.
also knows. We also have something
Give,
in Jamshedpur, right, sir?
give me a chance.
With
Give me a chance to
yes,
elaborate.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go
I
ahead.
had right in the beginning, I mentioned that TrueNet is now available in all the 24 district headquarters. And that is a big boon on Jharkhand scenario. Because if it is negative, as Nisit says, and we all agree, it is negative means negative. And the routine surgeries can be started in those individuals. But there is a rider. The TrueNet is being used for the epidemiological survey only. And that is why it is with only the state government's Sadar hospitals. We are trying, I'm in dialogue with the authorities that if surgery has to be started by the private practitioners or any other institution, this TrueNet facility, even with a cost of maybe 500 or 1,000 rupees, it should be made available to every surgically, surgical potential case. So that if it is negative, it is negative. If it is positive, then it goes into the folder of the state government to either test him further with RT-PCR and prove him positive or negative. So TrueNet
Right.
is going to be a great boon, and Nisit has put it rightly that it is not available with RIMS, it is available with Sadar Hospital Ranchi, and it is available with all the Sadar hospitals in district, even with Azad's Giridih Sadar Hospital, TrueNet is available. Deoghar, it is available. So, but the only thing is that it is right now in the folder of the epidemiological survey, and we are trying to break the shackles that it comes to the people who are in need of surgery.
Okay, that
Uh,
was really useful information, sir. And here I would just ask Nishit one more question from the audience, and we welcome Dr. Gaurav, who is in our audience. And he has a question that is there any special instruction about sterilization of the instruments, especially the laparoscopic instruments? So, Nishit, would you tell us something about, because you all are taking positive COVID patients, so is there any special instruction on sterilization of the OT instruments?
No, 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 ma'am, no at all. Miss, this virus is so weak that it just dies with, or it is killed with 1% hypochlorite solution or more than 70% alcohol. So it doesn't
Mhm.
need sterilization at all. Sterilization, what we do is for spores basically. So what we are doing here is disinfection. Just with
Correct.
disinfection only we can wipe out the viruses. But as I will come back to the etiquettes, OT etiquettes
Yeah,
that we were discussing earlier, ma'am.
yeah, yeah.
First of thing that what I think, ma'am, is that after the triage is done and we have come forward, uh, we should include a bath facility in our routines. That we most of us don't have a bath facility, so that when we go, we have our OT done, we take a bath and then go out. So this is one thing we have to include other than just scrub stations. And mostly in Jharkhand, even at RIMS, now we are just changing our culture. Most of us don't use scrub dresses. We just operate in our normal clothes, just have a gown, just a Macintosh, and then we start. But we will have to change all these things. We have to just initially we will have to change into our scrubs, and then only we should uh, proceed further. Next things, ma'am, that I would like to say is that we should not stand by the patient as we used to do earlier when the patient is being intubated or the anesthesia person is doing his work. We should just stay outside the OT. And once the anesthesia person allows you to come inside, or some maybe the draping is done, then only in a phase wise manner we can enter the OT. First the anesthesia person gets inside, then the scrub nurse, and later on the main surgeon will come inside. So this has to be, we will have to work out some manners or etiquettes, like not just crowding the OT. One more thing is that minimum persons should be involved in an operation. Like just came across a case report where it was found that the peritoneal fluid has 10 times more viral load than the nasal or the oropharyngeal fluid. So I think it is much, much more effective doing a laparotomy than just taking a nasal swab or examining a patient or handling a respiratory sample. So I think surgeons are at most risk at now, and it is us who should just develop some etiquettes so that we are just and our team is protected. One more thing is, ma'am, that laparoscopic versus open, what we should do.
Yeah, we would be taking those questions a little later.
Okay, later on. Okay, ma'am,
Nishit,
sure.
we would be talking about that because
Okay.
I think what Gaurav wanted to ask was more pertinent to the laparoscopic versus open, because he was concerned about the laparoscopy, and we would be answering his question better when we deal with the debate between laparoscopy and open.
Oh.
And you have very well brought out the issues, and the cultural change that you were talking about is what we need to look forward to. And I definitely agree with you that we need to have institutional guidelines both for the safety of patients and ourselves. And as you mentioned, that minimum number of persons should be there in the operation theater. And this is one thing where, because RIMS itself is a teaching institute, we are a teaching institute, this is going to limit our trainees' training. So here we have to think about alternate ways that without hampering their training, we do our work in a safe zone. And I would just mention here that I had been to GEM Hospital, Coimbatore, and there I had seen that what they do over there is that live surgeries are telecast in a room where the all the students or fellows, they see the surgeries live. This is unedited. So I think that is one thing we all should look at, because if we are reducing the number of personals in the OT, this is something that we need to look at. And there are few other things that changes we need to think about in OTs. That is like a smoke evacuator should be employed whenever you're using any electrocautery, and also the electrocautery setting should be at the minimum. We Here we were talking about laparoscopy and open, and we would discuss this in a little more detail, where we should, why should we avoid laparoscopy or should we not avoid laparoscopy. We will discuss it. And we should be having separate personnel who are going to transfer patients from OT to the ward or ICU. It cannot be the same person who has worked in the OT who will take the patient to the wards. And you have very rightly mentioned that we should avoid wearing our home clothes in hospitals, and use of scrub should become more prevalent. Once you enter the hospital, wear the scrubs, use your, just put away your home clothes and have a scrub station. Here again, use of PP and hand hygiene. Hand hygiene is something that we cannot go away with. We need to practice it on a daily basis. And for trauma centers, as we mentioned, that we do not have time in these patients for delaying their evaluation just for the need of knowing whether the patient is COVID positive or not. So here we should have designated rooms, and I think all COVID hospitals have it now. Is it right, Nishit? You all have a designated operative room for COVID patients?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have a designated OT. In fact, we have two designated OTs. These are just side by side. Actually, what we have done is we have converted whole of our trauma center into a COVID hospital. So we have a
Okay.
100-bedded facility with, miss, we had 15-bed ICU over there, and this is what we are doing. We have two OTs dedicated for positive and suspected cases. One for positive and one for suspected. That is what we have done.
तो
Okay.
बड़े लोगों की बड़ी बात, बड़े लोगों की बड़ी बात. So the premier institution has really dedicated its trauma center facility, and it's being spearheaded by Nisit. I'm proud of him. He is putting in
Thank you,
lot
sir.
of energy, his heart and soul into this effort, and I appreciate it. From the ASI front, I appreciate it deeply.
Thank you, sir.
And another thing which on the lighter side, Sunil, you will agree with me that wearing a scrub and wearing an overcoat, white coat over it, has become the trend of the day, and all of us should feel pride in that, that we are not being recognized. So wear a scrub right from home, which you will traffic between home and hospital, and wear another scrub there in the operating while going into the operating room. So keep changing the scrub every day, twice or thrice, and feel elated that you are only in your scrub and you are still being respected and regarded by the society. That was a lighter side.
No, sir, but actually you have brought a very pertinent thing, because I think 4-5 years back, I was just calculating the time period in which we were actually in our scrubs. And if we look at a surgeon's life, I think 50 to 60% of our time goes in scrubs. So we should actually be having a lot of designer scrubs.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's again
And
another
you know
exercise.
there are
Mute
families
yourself.
who have changed the scrubs for their sleeping suit. They go in scrub only, and we always say that why, what are you going to operate now? So you have to not copy the scrubs. But the scrubs have become really very useful now, and as it is agreed by all of us, and it is being recommended, all of us should have scrubs and keep changing the scrub every single opportunity you get.
And here I would like to welcome Dr. Hitesh Andharia from Ahmedabad, who has joined us as an audience. Sir, welcome. And as I said, that we would also look up at the private setups. And here again, private setups need to resume elective surgery because, as pointed out by Dr. Azad, and we would ask Dr. Jugal Kishore to add further on it, that when is he planning to resume his elective surgery? But what has been suggested by guidelines is that you should only resume elective surgery after there is sustained reduction in the rate of rise in COVID-19 cases in a relevant geographic area. It is going on a downward trend, and there has been no cases for 14 days. And operation theater should actually have phased opening. You should not open all facilities at the same time. And Dr. Azad has already talked about the staff becoming scarce. So this also needs to be addressed. And what I was going through in the various guidelines, these systems, you would have thought that they are fancy systems and very expensive systems, but maybe that is the need for the hour, where air seal system or ultravision system are some things that we should be thinking of installing, especially in private setups who have to have their own sustenance. And for COVID testing of patients pre-operatively, I think we have already discussed extensively. So here we would not again take up that question. And the RP sir has also given us quite good instructions on wearing scrubs and all. And we all agree that we should, I don't know how much it is going to be in practice, but at least institutions can, kind of start practicing that. And as we said that we would be changing environment for the surgeons both in the institution and private. So Jugal sir, would you like to add something on changing the way you would be practicing once you start your elective surgeries again? You said that you just started 10 days back. So would you like to tell us something on how you're planning to change the practices with you?
I will start surgery. No,
Yes.
I
Yes, you
will
are with
start
us.
surgery. All patients to be at present, all patients to be considered COVID positive until proved otherwise. You must keep in mind.
Correct. Okay,
Right.
so that's a good advice.
So
At least in private setup, I think none of us are bringing up this very important thing that
in Jharkhand,
with
in Devgar, there is no facility for COVID testing. We have to send the swab to Dhanbad, or recently in Dumka it is started, but not completely started at present. We have to send it to Dhanbad, PMCH. And there is no private facility, private laboratory for COVID test. So I will do when there is no reporting of COVID in Jharkhand for 14 or 28 days, when the reporting of corona cases are flat, curves are flat. There is no corona present in state for unless minimum 14 days. Then I will start after all precautions or guidelines given by the association and the government.
okay, great, sir.
It is my
Sir, we
view.
would just take Dr. Abhay Dalvi. He wants to make a comment, so we would be just taking him online in a minute or so because he wants to make some comment regarding our webinar. We would be taking him in a while, and just by the time that he gets in, I would just say that we need to agree that the surgical environment varies for surgeons in private institutional setups, government institutions, and smaller private setups. I think RP sir had a few days back when we were discussing this, RP sir had very categorically brought out a very relevant point that we might be having these private practitioners may be the sole earning members of their family, and the private setups do not have backing like institutions have from government or private setups. So the safety of these surgeons is very important, and if we want to have guidelines specific for these, we need to do relevant things. So institution and private setups would have different guidelines, and on this we would discuss, like I would ask Dr. Sanjay to tell us what are the changes he is looking up in a private institute like Tata Motors.
It's a very pertinent question, Aridhima, you have asked. But before I speak about the changes in surgical practice or changes in the hospital, one thing what we discussed about PPE, the uses of Dr. Jugal Kishore and Dr. Alpesh Srivastava, he has given lots of input about the PPEs. Not only having a good PPE protects you, and it's not only the doctors, because each and every staff of your organization, from the nursing team to the paramedics to the sweepers, they are the link to the healthcare. And we had a huge exercise in making them learn the use of PPEs by having a good donning and doffing exercise. And once they have learned, it adds on to the benefit of your organization. Now, coming back to the changes in practice in surgical, so when I visit my hospital, so I find it a different hospital, because the way the planning has been done and the way we right from the OPD to the accident emergency to the inpatient to the operation theater, lots of changes are there. And basically, we have got, say, screening facility. Once you enter the main premises, we have got facilities to screen each and every individual, not only the patients, but also the attendants, the accompany the patient, to give private history clinic when the patient has become symptomatic or comes with symptoms pertaining to COVID. So you have got a fever clinic just outside the where they are directed to go and have a look. And once they are screened out, then they enter the main OPD. So again, after they enter the OPD, they have got a screening process, and then they enter the OPD. And then we have got practices for different surgeons where they take care of themselves, and also to make sure the patient party, they have got a safe environment. Coming back, this is regarding OPD, and again the hand washing and the hand sanitization, so already discussed and all of us know. Coming to screening and accident emergency, because again here there is a chance, very much a chance that there is a possibility of getting the cross infection to the other staff. So in accident emergency, you have to have a robust screening where with all the 3 levels of PPEs. Shall I continue, or Aridhima?
Please continue. I have my son coming in. I'm sorry about that. You please continue.
Okay. So when you look at accident emergency, what we have done, that we have got pre-accident emergency, we have got a small cubicle where any patient coming from outside, they are stationed there, and the doctors and the nurses with all the 3 levels of PPE go and examine the patient, and then they screen out, and then they enter the main accident emergency. Again, many of these patients are flying patients coming from various locations from red zone. So once you screen out these patients, and if they require admission, they are not going directly to your main ward. So we have created isolation ward with around, say, 30 beds in male and around 10 in female. So there these patients are isolated, and there you get a window period of, say, 24 hours. And during this period, you can have the COVID test done, you can screen out, you can have a proper history, And once you are convinced that the patient is a safe patient, only then we are sending the patient to our main ward, and then we start the entire process. Some
Right,
of
sir.
yeah, and again, because again we have got a good discussion that and input from Arundima. Another plan is rather than the entire unit going for the round, why don't you divide the unit into groups? So if at all, if with all the precautions, if one is exposed, maybe you have got another unit who can take care of the patient if at all. Somehow, with all the precautions, you miss any of these patients. And also, we have got lots of precautions we take for the hand hygiene, the use of mask for all the patients admitted, and both we have got categorized the PPEs in various levels. What PPE is to be, to be donned in the OPD, in the ward, in the operation theater, in the ICU. So that has perhaps helped that till date, despite the increasing number, we have not come across any of the positive patients admitted in the hospital.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I think preserving our PPEs is also very important. So the right use is also equally important as important it is to have them. I think Dr. Abhay Dalvi is there. Sir, can you hear us? Dr. Abhay Dalvi? Okay, we'll just check on. He had come online. So, anyways, Nishit, do you want to add anything
ma'am.
different in the government institute from what Dr. Sanjay said?
Ma'am, first of all, let me tell you what we are doing over here.
Mhm.
So you will just get a picture that how we are working in two fronts. One front is COVID positive and COVID suspected patients who are going to. What we are doing is like our people who are like our security persons and our trolley men. If a patient comes to the main emergency, they just ask him that if he has a travel history, from where he is coming, if he is coming from the Ranchi based hotspots like Hinpidi area. So what they do is they send them to our COVID area. The COVID, we have the whole ground floor of that area. We have made it as a suspected triage and suspected area. For the triage, what we are doing, if we have say the patient is suspected, has a travel history, comes from a hotspot, is a SARI patient. So what we do is we take him in a our serious patients are, we have a ICU for suspected patients, that is a 12 or 13 bed ICU. The other patients who are asymptomatic or with mild or moderate symptoms, we have paying rooms. So 2 floors of our paying ward, that is the second and the third floor, we have dedicated. So 36 bed over there, and another 20 beds we have in the ground floor of our trauma center. So around 50 to 55 beds are dedicated for suspected patients. So these patients are coming, we are testing them. If it is required, they are being operated, and if they come out to be positive, then we shift them to the higher level where only COVID positive patients are being kept. The problem with what comes, ma'am, is like few days back we had a road traffic accident of a bus which was carrying these laborers from Maharashtra to Calcutta. They met with an accident nearby Ranchi, and then they were brought to RIMS. Then what we had to do, I was there, so we all had to donate. We had to use all the PPEs, and then we just did whatever what was required over there. Later on, two of them out of the 30 patients who were admitted, two of them came out to be positive. So these things will happen, and what we are trying to do is just trying to isolate, trying to test, trying to treat. That is what needs to be done. It is very, very difficult to isolate all the patients. It is very difficult. There will be mix up when we have 100 patients per day, 200 patients per day. It is very difficult to triage, to isolate, to identify. Patients will come, sometimes they will go to the trauma center, sometimes they will go to the main emergency, and it is very, very difficult. So what now, we have just started OPD from today. What we are trying to do is just that social distancing thing. We are trying to have a resident with all PPE sitting at the entrance of the OPD who will be screening them, and then they will be sending them inside for the consultant to see. Or in between, we will
I
have a
think
senior resident.
I think
Yeah,
this is what most of the institutions have, because the manpower is not that big an issue as it with private
yeah.
practitioners. So here I think RP sir can add that in private setups, because you cannot have various levels like we have in the institutions. So how do you think the private practitioner should take this, sir? So please unmute yourself.
Muted yourself, yes.
Yes, sir.
So I think you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So before I go to the practice to be adopted by private practitioners, I'd like to put in a suggestion here that I'm very much enchanted by the narration given by Sanjay, and something of this kind must have been being followed at TMH also, I'm sure. And Nisit has already narrated the practice being followed with the available resources in RIBS. And the fourth hospital, major hospital, is Bokaro General Hospital, whose director I can always request. And I'm foreseeing next week a meeting of all these four guys, either a webinar or a I don't know whether physical meeting is possible, but let them, let these four authorities churn their mind to put inputs from each campus and improve the scenario and try to bring a simile, because somebody must be doing something better and somebody may be lagging on something. So I think this should be done, and this webinar's product will be that these four institutions, they connect with each other. I volunteer myself to work like a catalyst to get all of them connected. Number one. Number two, in private practice, what Nisit has narrated and what Sanjay has narrated can never be followed. And we are not bothered in private practice right now, fortunately, or because of constraint, to operate on a patient in emergency scenario. So it is out of question whether we are dividing, triaging, or whatever. But it will only come in when we will, as a surgical practitioners, we will start practicing surgery on those patients who are absolutely tested COVID negative. There is no and big no for anybody to come to the table without having a COVID test negative. And that too, even if you leave a small error of judgment or a small error of possibility of a miss of maybe false negative or false positive, you should always be protecting yourself and your team in the operation theater. And there comes the etiquettes of the operation theater, which have already been narrated. So in a private situation, whatever we have heard our friends from the governmental institutions and telco hospital, we just can't think of following. And we are also, fortunately or circumstantially, not into that game of participating. But if I have an opportunity of participating in a practice in telco, TESCO, BGH, or RIMS, I will definitely follow the etiquettes and norms already narrated by them. And I will request again all four of them to make a video conferencing and elaborate on their practice and learn from each other's experience.
Very well said, sir. And
Abhay Dalvi was also
here,
trying to connect me, Arunima, but he
yes,
is
sir.
not, his call is also not getting through. So it is Bombay COVID scenario, which has also marred him joining the meeting. So let's have some smile. Bombay is having really very hard experience,
Yes, sir.
and
Yeah,
we all
it
are in
is,
his
sir.
industry, and his institution, particularly his institution, it is in forefront.
Correct. Yes, sir.
I
Sir,
think the
we are
discussion is
talking
going
about.
quite well. I think the discussion is quite well, and time limit is already up. So I request Dr. Arunima to
So just,
conclude.
just, just we'll take another 5 minutes here because it's a very pertinent thing that we discussed laparoscopy versus open surgery. because when we are talking about phase starting of elective surgery, laparoscopy surgery is one of the main bread and butter for surgeons nowadays. So, sir, would you like to highlight, Dr. Srivastava, sir? Would you like to talk about this
Yes.
controversy on laparoscopy and
Few laparoscopy oriented practice remodeling. Abhay Dalvi is listening to our comments, so mind it. He
okay?
has written me a note that he is listening to everything.
We were trying to get him
So
in. He was unmuted, and I think can he hear us? If you can ask him, he can make a comment.
Abhay, please come in. It will be very nice to hear your voice and your greetings. Please join. I'm asking him. Having said that, a small modification of laparoscopy, which I heard from someone on an IAGES webinar, is very useful. The exit of the gases, take it to the take it to chest tube drainage bag filled with betadine solution, so that every escape of gas goes to that before you procure an evacuator or all those gadgets which are being promoted by particularly Storage and Ethicon. So it is very costly. I mean, it's coming at a cost almost nearing 5 lakhs. So private practitioners, it will be probably very tough right now, being bitten already, to procure an equipment of 5 lakhs immediately. But a simple modification of giving an outlet to the gas through a chest tube drainage bag already filled with betadine solution can be one small modification. Use the energy as has been already recommended, less and less. Use the, am I audible? Am I audible? Use the energy less and
Yes,
less,
sir.
but
Yes.
wherever you have to
Yes, yes.
use the energy, yes, wherever you have to use the energy, you will definitely use the energy. You can't say no to the energy. Okay, I did something right and left. Okay, so now it is good. So use the energy less and less. And but all said and done, laparoscopy is going to be a real challenge in this tough time. It's going to be a real challenge. It can't be made so safe because the aerosol generated within the inflated peritoneal cavity situation is a real potential threat. If
Can I
any of the
interrupt,
panelists
Albi? Can I interrupt
yeah,
for a
sure,
second? But
sure,
Albi
sure,
is on
sure.
phone. Arunima, can we request Anand to make him panelist? He's logging in and remove one of me so that he is visible. It will be very pertinent that the ASI president-elect wants to make a
Yes,
comment to the Jharkhand
yes,
ASI.
agreed.
So,
Every one of us are volunteering.
yeah, so he's trying to log in. So we request Anand to remove me from the and put him into the as a panelist.
Okay,
He
sir,
just phoned
I'm doing
me.
that. And by the time he logs in, we would just get a few comments that we have got from the audience. And here I would like to just mention, we have Dr. Anup Sharma, who has raised a very pertinent thing that suppose you operate on a patient who was presumed to be negative,
Arunima,
that
again I'm
becomes
interrupting. Sorry.
Abhay,
Dr.
Abhay,
Dalvi is already logged in. So can you make him
yes.
panelist so that he's
yes, sir, he's
yeah,
already
he's
there.
Sir
logged
is
in.
Also,
online.
great to have you
Second,
in on our webinar,
welcome.
sir.
All to you. Your comment,
Welcome,
Abhay.
sir.
Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Unmute.
So you
Unmute
just need to
yourself.
unmute yourself.
Abhay. No, Abhay. Unmute.
Sir is on unmute only, sir. Sir,
We
if you
can't
have
hear
a
him actually.
earphone, just connect it.
Yes, sir. Okay, we continue by the time sir sorts out his earphone. Yeah. So
Okay.
we have a
So what I
question
was
from
saying.
the audience. Sir, we
Okay.
have a question from the audience, Dr. Anup Sharma, that What about the guidelines from government after any patient initially presumed to be negative but becomes positive after any operation? What is the difference in approach for government institution versus private setup? So would you take this question, Aarti sir? Or if Abhay Dalvi sir is
Tell,
there
tell the
and can hear
tell the
us,
question
he can
again.
answer this question. So it's
Tell the
talking
question
about
again.
that what are the guidelines from government that after any patient initially presumed to be negative becomes positive after an operation? What is the
So
government
everybody,
guideline on this?
Hello,
government has not
ma'am.
Zoom here.
Abhay,
Ma'am.
Abhay.
Hello.
Yeah, Nishit, we can hear you.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, madam. We had a case like this. A patient was
Mm-hmm.
operated in a private hospital in Ranchi, and then
Mm-hmm.
he later on turned out to be positive. So he was shifted to our hospital. What? There is no guidelines. There is nothing changes. The patient is treated
Earplug. You
in
have
two
your
ways.
earplug?
One is for the COVID, and other is for the post-operative care that we are giving. The only thing
Yeah.
is that just like other patients, we have to isolate that patient and we
Okay,
treat
okay,
him
okay.
just
So
like
my
any
mobile
other
is
COVID
already with
positive
you.
patient.
So here
So
actually
yeah,
what we would be discussing is the need for a COVID consent form, and I will come to that in a
yeah.
while. And here we have another comment from Dr. Sushil Pandey from Palamu that
Arunima,
yes sir,
Arunima,
yes sir.
you just don't talk now. Abhay Dalvi will talk through my speaker. Yes.
Right sir.
Abhay, go on. Go on, Abhay.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Can
Yeah,
you
we
all
can
hear
hear you,
him
sir.
now?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear.
Because I've been hearing everything. It's wonderful, and thank you for having me. Just to summarize all your slides till now, I take it that there are
Yes, go ahead.
two types of setups. One is small nursing home with single theater. Second is institutional setup, whether private or public. These private or public institutional setups would have operation theater on single floor or operation theater on multiple floor. Now, multiple floored operation theaters are very good for COVID patients. They can be isolated quite well. Whereas on a single complex, as Nishit, I think, talked about, two theaters for highly suspicious and two theaters for this. The problem is with single theater nursing homes, and these are the people who will have to be very, very careful. There are some guidelines which will come up. I think I should be getting in touch with some of you all to work for ASI and give us some guidelines of small setup nursing homes. I have enough of them in Mumbai, so I can also bring down the thing. That's number one. Number two, remember, with any pandemic or epidemic in an area, there are three things that are required. Number one is people which you categorize as doctors and healthcare workers, including sisters. Second is how much space do you have, and third is the equipment that you possess. Now, I'm not going to go into details of it, which is already there in the guidelines of ASR. I'm one of the contributors, but some controversial things. Just now, a very important question has been asked as to what happens if the patient becomes positive post-operative. Now, this is where the problem is. In our setup in Mumbai, where we are routinely seeing this on emergency patients, we have to actually sanitize the entire operation theater with 1% hypochlorite, taking care that the costly equipment are sanitized also carefully, and the theater should be closed for about 4 hours. These are not official guidelines, but guidelines given to me by our institutional infection committee. So that is what we are trying to do. Smoke evacuation, you will discuss quite a lot. I just want to add that all the anesthesia machines, if older ones which cannot scavenge the exhaled gases to the endotracheal tube, there should be an additional arrangement. Srivastav sir already said about putting it in betadine. There are some people putting it in 1% hypochlorite ICD solution, and then the air is sucked out into the central suction system. What I have observed is whenever this is done, the actual suction tubing connected to the patient body is not thrown out. It is re-sterilized. Please don't do that. That is the thing that I want to tell you. The last thing is, yes, RT-PCR or any other testing system is going to come and going to stay because it's not going to go up for a long time. Please do not start elective surgery till the government gives a green signal to it. It has been our Prime Minister's request as well as the guidelines which have come from health. I know about green zone becomes orange zone the next day. So don't depend on that. There are other states like state of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka which have come and sealed off the operation theatre and entire nursing home, small scale nursing home. So be very careful about this. And I think last sentence I will say is in smoke, in peritoneal fluid, whether there is evidence of coronavirus or not, we do not know. But absence of evidence does not mean evidence of absence. So till you do not have concrete evidence that the virus is not in body tissue, consider that if this patient highly suspicious or positive harbors virus in every situation that is there and protect yourself. Again, I'm taking this opportunity to thank all of you all. You are doing a wonderful job and love you all of you all. Thank you so much.
Same
sir.
here.
Thank you for giving me
Thank you
opportunity.
so much for
Same
joining
here,
in, sir. And I think
Same here.
Dr. Dalvi has answered Dr. Sushil's query that we are doing. He has mentioned that they are doing emergency and semi-emergency cases in Palamu, and this is because there is no evidence of community spread in Palamu. And epidemiological data should be taken into account in issuing a guideline to surgeons. But as Dr. Dalvi mentioned, we should be very careful about being in green zone because it doesn't take time to get into a orange zone and maybe a red zone. So with this, I would just wind up about the laparoscopic or open surgery debate. This is from the SAGES guideline, and it says that data is insufficient. Hence, whether to have open surgery or laparoscopic surgery, more pertinent to minimize the operation theatre time for both safety of the patient and healthcare worker. And if resources do not allow for safe filtering of smoke, then you should try and do open surgery. But if you have got good smoke and gas evacuation system, you can take selected laparoscopic cases. Now, for smoke and gas evacuation, negative pressure rooms for intubation and extubation have been recommended. And the minimal air change in the operation theaters has usually been 12 per hour, but that should be increased to 25 per hour. And I mentioned about these systems of air seal and ultravision, and Dr. Srivastava talked about putting it into a canister with betadine. We in Tata Motors have tried with gas filter through drainage in canister containing hypochlorite solution. And this also has been mentioned in SAGES guidelines, and it says that usually it kills virus which comes in contact with it, but it is not sure about the virus which is inside the bubble which does not come in contact. And in OT, as far as the verbal communication is concerned, it should be minimal because that also causes aerosol release. And here again, I think having music and speaking less would be the thing that we have to practice. And just to have a clear guidelines on what surgeries you might need to proceed with in this era, there are acute infection, acute trauma that would significantly worsen without surgical intervention, potential malignancy, any uncontrollable pain that would otherwise necessitate hospital admission, and a condition for which the prognosis would significantly worsen if treatment was delayed. And these are from Ambulatory Surgery Center Association. So I mentioned about COVID consent form, and this is from the publications that I found that in a retrospective cohort study of 34 operative patients, 44.1 patients required ICU care in the post-operative period, and mortality rate was 20.5%, which is a very high mortality for surgical patients. But we need to take this into consideration and warn the patients as in a form of consent, because they would later on point fingers at you. And in Canadian Medical Protective Association, there has been a report that over a 1-year period, 65% of medical legal cases were about informed consent, of which most of them were surgical, and only 21% of these cases were in favor of the surgeons. So, keeping these in mind, it is very important to have a separate COVID-19, keeping in mind what the patient may become positive later on and may say that I was treated by a COVID positive doctor or whatever. And we do not have enough kits at the moment to test every patient, but we should be trying and we should aim at getting all patients taking up for elective surgery to be COVID positive, COVID tested. And here I have just mentioned a link where the first COVID consent form in India was devised, and this has also been published in PubMed. So there are multiple templates that are available, and you should customize it according to your institution. And before we go ahead with the takeaway message, I would just request each of our panelists to just give a single message. So we start with RP sir. Sir, what message would you like to give to our audience?
I'm too happy that Jamshedpur has taken the lead and is well supported by remote corner of Devghar and Giridih and the capital of Ranchi, and every member who has participated. I love them, I appreciate them, and the members who have joined in for listening to this discussion, who could not present themselves live, but they have been a part of a very aggressive team, and they have spared their time. I'm too happy for you, Arunima, who has thought of it, well supported by Sunil and Sanjay there, to bring this out. And I think in future, you will keep doing this activity.
Thank you so much, sir, for your blessings. Jugal sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I will, in my opinion, the surgeons of small places like ours, routine operations should be waited for some time. Only because there is no ICU, well-equipped ICU facilities and all that in our small town. So we should wait for another few months till the situation, there is no report of coronavirus in Jharkhand or near in the vicinity. जान है तो जहान है, थोड़ा दिन इंतजार कीजिए.
Yes, sir. Very important. Sanjay sir. Sanjay sir, are you there?
Sanjay is there, but he's frozen.
Yes.
His video is frozen.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
You're audible,
Yes,
but
yes.
Yeah.
the video. It's
First,
okay.
first, first I again not compliment regards to RP Srivastava sir and Sunil sir for mentoring this type of academic interaction, and because of your presence, and of course Arunima has done a wonderful job to bring all of us together to have this interactive session, and we have a lot of learning from the practices, not only from the institutions, but also difficulties what Dr. Azad and Dr. Jugal Kishore is having. So it's a huge learning. But the message I'd like to give to all the panelists and also to those who are participants is it's an uncertain thing, and we have never come across this type of crisis. In fact, even during our academics, we have not come across similar problem which has evolved across the globe. Now, it's a fast evolving thing, and we have learning from various guidelines. Each and every day we are having some input which adds on to the advantage of our safety as well as patient safety. So if we keep on learning from these practices and these interactions, we will come out of this difficult situation, and ultimately it will be, all will end well. So this is why what we wish, so that this type of interaction will have a good learning for all the surgeons of Jharkhand, and also we will come out of the crisis by having safe practices, and ultimately the patient who are dependent on us, they should be benefited with all this learning to all the surgeons here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Dr. Azad, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Your
Azad, you can be brought
take
on
away.
video.
He is doing surgery in OPT regularly.
Yeah, you can take me
Well,
off and put Dr. Azad in. Yes, sir.
hello.
Yeah.
Yes, Azad,
Yeah,
keep
can you
talking.
hear me?
In the meantime, you can come on video. Keep talking. Keep
Okay,
talking. Let's
okay,
utilize the time.
okay. So my take-home message will be that as I am the secretary of the ASI Jharkhand chapter, please follow the guidelines given by the ASI headquarters. Every surgeon. That would benefit all the surgeons and that would make you safe. And for Arinuma, you have made this our chapter lively. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sunil sir, and thank you, Srivastava sir, for your blessings. Thanks.
Yes. Nishit, your
Uh, Ma'am, first of all, I
yeah.
would like to thank our organization. I am honored to be sharing the screen with such great surgeons like Arpit Srivastava sir, Sunil sir, Dr. Jugal Kishore Chaudhary, Dr. Ajad sir, yourself, ma'am. And I am really thankful to you all to make me a panelist. I don't think I am learned enough to give a take-home message, but whatever I have learned in last 2 months about COVID is that we don't know what is going to come. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. In last 2 months, I have seen dramatic U-turns from the government, from many institutions like the WHO, the ICMR. All of them are making U-turns. So I don't know what is coming.
Okay.
I'll have to say one line. We are passing through an
Yes, sir.
evolution, and we should be
Yes.
really proud and
Correct.
fortunate that keep passing, keep learning, keep changing the practice. Even government doesn't know, no institution like CDC, WHO, nobody has an experience. And it is our lifetime experience. Let us share all our experience, look for better tomorrow, and we will have a chance to write the history.
Absolutely, sir. So I would just like to give a few take away message from what we have discussed, that we should postpone non-essential elective surgeries till there is sustained reduction in rate of new COVID-19 cases in the relevant geographic areas for at least 14 days. We should prioritize and schedule cases and have a strategy for phased opening of operation theaters. We really need to restructure our operation theaters in view of smoke and gas evacuation. We need to change our culture and follow the OT etiquette, hand hygiene, and use of PPEs in the right manner. Pre-testing for COVID-19 for patients before surgery, if feasible, would be the ideal situation. And COVID
No,
consent
not
should
if
be
feasible.
included in consent form. Yes, sir.
Not in if
Uh,
feasible. It should be
yeah.
feasible, not if feasible. For a routine surgery, it has to be there in place.
Right, sir. It will be in place. I think there are many organizations working at it. So it would be in place in some time, I'm sure. But as I said, that the influx of knowledge on this disease is increasing on a daily basis, and on daily basis, there are things that are changing. And you have also mentioned the same, that we are in an evolution phase. So as things evolve, we would know what is the best practices for it. And before we say goodbye, my heartfelt thanks to all you panelists and audience who joined in. And you have all spared your valuable time on a Saturday evening, which is very important. And now it's audio from me. And for the final concluding remarks, I would ask the most dynamic, internationally known surgeon from Jharkhand, our pride, Dr. Sunil, to conclude the session.
Thank you, Arinuma. I will just end with a very positive note. We need to remain optimistic. And basically, what I gather that we need to change the way we live, whether it is at home front or at hospital front. And it is not easy. It is going to have a huge impact on the practicing surgeon, on the trainees, future surgeons, but then we have to move. And I feel that the nature is trying to reclaim its space, and we have to live in a very collaborative manner, learning our soft skill, revisiting our soft skill. And the only thing I have realized that how as a human race we have become vulnerable, we don't know. So let's love each other and continue to shower our love to all of you. And at the end, I will thank all the panelists for their contribution, and a special thank to Dr. Arinima Burma, our dynamic lady surgeon who is leading our way, and not much expected from you anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you to
much, sir.
Anand
And
from all of
we
us.
should, yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
to
Thank you
Anand
very
from
much.
all of us.
Thank you.
I think Anand and Sachin can just come in for a while, because without their support, I don't think we would have made this a success. So Anand, you and Sachin, just everybody would like to see your faces, and we have a comment from Dr. Sushil Pandey from Daltonganj, that great webinar tailor-made for Jharkhand surgeons. So I hope we served the purpose of having this webinar from the ASI Jharkhand chapter, and I hope we would continue to add. And as a team, as we saw, we had the government, the private, the national, the international, all of us on this platform. I think we can definitely make a difference to the ASI Jharkhand chapter. Anand, can you and Sachin just come and say bye to all of us?
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for using our services. Okay, we are more happy to help
Yeah.
you out. Huh? Okay.
So Anand
Sachin
is
is
our
not there, madam.
website designer. Okay. So
Yeah.
Anand is our
Just
website
tell
designer,
the
and
people that Anand is a Karnataka-based website, whatever, and they look after the Karnataka ASI as well.
yes,
We
sir.
are e-secretariat for our KSC ASI, sir, Karnataka, and we conduct all conference also for medical conferences, whatever services website and scientific management, like people will submit paper, poster, everything on website. We will take their everything reviews and send it to scientific committee, and scientific committee will select their paper, posters, everything, and we can just send them our results. On the conference day, they'll show everything, right?
Yeah, and I think Arti sir would remember, and Azad sir, we have all inaugurated this website, and the e-journal portal is still to become active. And on this platform, as we end, I ask Nishit, RP sir, Jugal sir, Azad sir, that we please make this e-portal successful. I would like the next to be that. Can I have that support from all of you?
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you, Rina. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Always.
Thank you so much, sir.
Take your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
Very good.
Bye.
Well done.
Okay. Thank you, Anand.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Okay,
Take
bye.
care.
Bye-bye. Have a nice
Stay
weekend,
safe.
all of you.
Enjoy. Today is Saturday. You have started. I will start after an
Yes.
hour.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
all of you enjoy your Saturday
That was
evening. We had a
Ru
great
Afda.
time
You know,
together.
that was Ru Afda. Now it will be Whisky.
Okay. Okay.
All the best wishes for you and
Okay.
Vinita.
Cheers to
Okay.
all of you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Nishit.
Bye, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye. Take care. Take care.
Bye-bye, Azad. Anand,
So
you
we
can
log
just
off now.
Yes.
I can close it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please
Yeah,
close it.
please.
Thank you so much.
Dr.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you,
Nishit
Anand.
is more
Thank you,
vulnerable.
everybody. Let's enjoy the Saturday evening.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you,
bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.